In this video, I will go over 10 tips that helped me successfully prepare for and also finish the Transcontinental race in 2024. Not only did I finish TCR, but over the past few years, I've participated in many other ultra-endurance races, both road and off-road, ranging anywhere from a few hundred to 1700 kilometers in almost any weather. This experience has allowed me to compare and analyze what's actually important for a successful ultra-endurance cycling event, and that's what I want to share in this video. This was the main tip I was given before TCR, and I fully support it. With life, I mean your work, your finances, your relationship, and your habits. For example, when I raced Hope 1000 back in 2023, I was as fit as I was for TCR, but I DNF'd shortly before the halfway mark. Physically, I felt fine, but emotionally I had hit a wall so hard it left me completely empty. In the months leading up to the race, I switched jobs, moved to a different apartment, didn't have enough money to comfortably cover this crazy hobby, and also was having a rough patch with my girlfriend. At the time, I was just about managing it, but in the background, it was draining me a lot. It felt like I arrived tired, now I'm gonna get even more tired, and then return back home to not fully recover from being tired and just continue being more and more tired. It had to stop. The rest of the season was also unimpressive at best, so I decided to take some time off, settle in at work on my relationship, save some money before embarking on any new adventures. At first, this might seem a bit silly, but try to ask yourself why 4 to 8 times in a row. For example, ask yourself why I want to race TCR, to which your answer might be because I want to prove to myself that I can do it. And to this you can follow up with why is it important for yourself to prove that you can do this? The first few questions are easy, but eventually it will become harder and harder to answer. And at some points you might even come up with conflicting answers. We often do the wrong things for the right reasons and vice versa. So the purpose of this exercise is try and get to the core of your true motivation. The fatigue from TCR is likely to tear down any defenses or masks that we unconsciously put on during our daily lives. This state can be a blessing and feel like a great experience, but it can also take you to a pretty dark place. However, if you do go to a dark place, it won't be as bad if you've been truly honest to yourself why this is important to you. Analyzing other people's approach to racing might be useful for new ideas, but bluntly copying rarely leads to anything good. Everyone has their own sleeping schedule, eating preferences, and hours of the day when they feel stronger or weaker. And the only way to truly find out what works for you is to experiment yourself. You might not get it right the first few times, but trust me that it will be worth the effort. Each year, people waste hours that they could have saved simply by investing more time in building a good route. And some people even get disqualified for riding on prohibited sections. Investing time in building a good route will truly pay dividends. And I have a whole video with tips on how to do this that I will link at the end of this video. In the cycling world, performance equipment is typically tailored to World Tour riders and pros who cycle at an average speed of somewhere between 40 and 50 kilometers per hour. and they can change a bike within seconds at just a wave of a hand. The gains at more realistic speeds during an ultra-endurance event are even more marginal or possibly non-existent. And given that performance equipment is typically much less durable, you pose a greater risk of losing time if this equipment breaks and end up just spending a ton of money. Another thing to keep in mind is that in many European countries, for example in the Balkan region, you won't have easy access to replacement parts such as high-performance tires or batteries for electronic shifters. Of course, you can have all these nice things if you want to, but don't fool yourself into thinking that you need them. And remember that the gains are probably much smaller than you think they are. What will make you faster though is servicing the bike before the race, because this is the best way to avoid mechanicals. Rotating parts should feel smooth. If it feels like there are grains of sand stuck somewhere in between, it might be time for a replacement. Overall, a road race is much more forgiving than an off-road race on equipment, but I would highly suggest to start off with a fresh chain and fresh tires. If the previous ones are not fully worn out, you can still keep them for after the race. Of course, there is evidence that extremely long training weeks can be beneficial for performance. You can check out Dylan Johnson's in-depth video on his 40-hour training week for a top 10 at the Unbound gravel race, or read Nils van der Poel's training manifesto, where he consistently rode 30+ hour weeks to build endurance for an ice skating 10K world record. However, they are elite athletes who have spent years developing an ability to even absorb this amount of training. Most recreational cyclists have full-time jobs and realistically only have the weekend for longer rides. And even if you would try to squeeze in just half of 40 hours, I'm sure it wouldn't lead to anything good, as even the pros don't cycle 6 to 7 hours on any given day. If you do so, Mondays at work would feel dreadful, you would be more irritable, and basically would be perpetually hungry. Don't get me wrong though, long weekend outings are great for testing equipment and gaining confidence in that you can actually do this. However, for most people, most training weeks should be about consistency. Consistently going for a long ride, consistently doing at least some intensity, and filling the rest with easy rides based on how much time you have. Consistency will also help you with saddle pain, because Sure, some bib shorts are better than others and some saddles are better than others, but there is no magic shorts or magic saddle that will completely get rid of the discomfort. You simply have to ride more often to get used to it. And I feel this every spring when the cycling season starts. Even though I ride a bit on the trainer, I prefer to run or ski outside during the winter months. Therefore, I spend much less time on the bike, and the first few long rides are always more discomfortable than I remember them to be. Riding off-road will not only improve your bike handling skills, but will definitely make you feel much more comfortable in the off-road sections during TCR. Even if you have just a road bike, try to incorporate at least some off-road riding during your long rides, at least from time to time. Bonus points if you do this towards the end of the ride when you're more fatigued, because that will more closely replicate how you will actually feel during the race. And if something breaks, you will get hands-on experience in fixing things. Even if you are a fast, ambitious rider who can almost definitely finish the race earlier, allow yourself the maximum specified time by the organizers, just in case something goes wrong. Trust me, scratching from a race when you still have the energy to continue but simply don't have the time will feel devastating. And on top of that, a great comeback story is often more impressive than a great result. And that's it for this video. If there's anything important that you think I didn't cover, please leave down a comment. I'm sure others will appreciate that. And if you found this information helpful, please give the video a like and do check out my other videos on preparation for TCR.